How's everybody doing? Marco. All right. So today we have a guest coming on. We're going to be talking about introvert. A person that is an introvert is going to be sharing the test that she took, and her best friend is going to be up on panel also. So we're going to talk about what it's like to be an introvert, while me and Ro the Hated are extroverts. You know, because we're very social, but we also don't give a fuck either type attitudes. You know, so cooking and crime. What's going on, Marina? Mike, DJ, Rogue Knox, Kelly B. How's everybody doing this fine evening? Just trying to get people in. I'll slowly start bringing people up, so we can do introduction. And then I'll give them the floor so they can talk a little bit, you know, and then we'll ask questions. Sweet and Sleuthy, how we doing? So, you know, if you guys can hit that like button, share the stream. Let's get this live rolling. I think it's going to be a good live this evening. So I'm going to start introducing people. Introduction. That's going to be my new word. Instead of introducing, I'm going to go southern and be like, introduction today. I still feel like total dog shit, but I'm making it. I'm getting there. So then Rogue Knox, you and Amy will probably have a lot of things in common. So afterwards, after we do the stream and everything, get you to come up and talk too. So coming up first on stage is Ro the Hated.
What's up?
Now, can we get a Marco with Ro the Hated?
I guess I'll put it again. This is one arm man fucking tight.
All right, so we're gonna bring up Amy.
Hello.
So what we're gonna talk about is she did a test by Jordan Peterson. We're gonna pull this up. It's in the background. You want to scroll to the top for a second?
That is the top.
That is the top.
All right.
The only other thing is like the title, which is the understanding yourself personality.
Yeah. So this site is called understandingmyself.com. It's a website. You go to it, does the big 5 aspect scale. It's a scientific model that describes a person's personality through the big 5 factors. And each of their two aspects, this report describes where you stand in comparison to others in the general population on these traits and aspects. So the big five, you guys should be able to see what her scores are. Agreeableness, 88. Extroversion, 4. Conscientiousness, 25. Openness, 87. And neuroticism, 56. So
You want me to scroll down? Just let me know when you want me to scroll down. You're ready to see.
my question for you is, Rognok said, what is it? Ro is breaking up a bit.
Yeah, I was looking away from the microphone.
So, yeah, but is it the 100 questionnaire, the free version of the test, of this test? Is it 100 questions? Just ask.
It's I don't remember how many questions were on there. It's a lot, but it only took about 10-15 minutes to read through and take, and you just got a couple of different options as far as how much you agree or disagree with the statement that they're making, and then they rate you based on that. And it's oftentimes the same question in multiple ways.
Okay. So when you got the results in, right? We'll go over the results.
Mhm.
Okay. What did you think? Like when it came to agreeableness and extroversion, the big five, what stood out to you the most?
Well, like I said, I saw the same sort of question asked like multiple different ways. So it kind of safeguards against anybody trying to fib their way through the test and attain a score that they shouldn't. So you might as well just be honest. As far as agreeableness goes, it's going to ask you. Well, I could probably even bring up the website, but
What surprised you or didn't surprise you? Or
well, what surprised me was the conscientiousness. That one surprised me. I knew I'm pretty agreeable. I'm kind of a homebody. I'd like to be around people, yes, but one or two people at a time, or if it's a get together with friends, like 5, because people are very draining. So I kind of knew that about myself. Um, I took it more or less to see how severe those issues were for me, because I know out of all my friends, I'm probably the least extroverted, but I didn't know I was that low. So that the severity of it kind of surprised even me a little bit, because
which is funny because
I can only.
I was extremely
you.
proud that she got 4. Honestly, like I feel like a couple decades ago it would have been a 1.
Maybe.
So she's actually gotten better
Well, yeah. I mean,
in your eyes.
yeah. Oh, definitely. Like there was a time when she wouldn't even tell me somebody had made her like stay in the house or leave without taking care of something, or she wouldn't. Somebody on the phone could bully her into something, you know. And not only did she start telling me and having me question, she started taking care of things herself more aggressively. To a point, you know, nothing like you and I, where it's like, you're gonna do what I say, or I'm gonna give you a rear naked choke. But you know, she was doing that. So I mean, I assumed that she would be on the very low end of the spectrum for extroversion, because even if she liked doing something, if there were people, she was like, ugh. So yeah, I was proud of the 4, but it kind of shocked her that it was that low.
I knew I
So,
was definitely on the introvert side of things, though, for sure.
Right.
so when it comes to being, there's a lot of people in here. Um, Let me ask the chat. How many of you in here know what an introvert is and an extrovert is?
And there's a lot more complicated version than most people think. They think introvert means you're shy. An extrovert means you're outgoing.
Yeah, but I'm very high in openness. When I
Right.
get to know somebody or if I'm talking to them one-on-one, I have no problem sharing whatever, as long as it's not beyond my boundaries, because I do have them.
Yep.
But I just don't like to be around 50 people.
And the idea of like sitting down at a bus stop, random stranger sitting down and just striking up a conversation, even though you really don't have anything in common, is not something she would be open to as much, unless it was a topic she was well versed in and interested in, kindred spirit type stuff. But like me, I'll talk to random people all the time and wear shirts that say free hugs and all that. I'm not happy if I'm not socializing. She tolerates socializing with people.
He needs to be around other people, or else he gets depressed and angry and starts having asshole issues.
True.
But I can go a week holed up in my bedroom, playing on my computer, watching documentaries or reading or whatever, and I'm perfectly fine.
Okay, so I
I'm
was
ready
just
to bonk hobbits by then.
Yeah.
so I was talking to a friend of mine in the background, and I was at like how I asked the question, um, the difference between an introvert and an extrovert, if you know it and stuff like that. And their response was, it's all about how you recharge yourself. An
Yeah.
introvert,
Yeah.
an introvert recharges by being alone. An
Yeah.
extrovert, go ahead.
If I have a big deal to me is like family reunions or even family holidays where you've got 20 aunts and uncles and cousins and grandmas and grandpas and everybody's there. I love seeing everybody, but it's exhausting. It takes me a day or two to recover before I even want to think about leaving the house again because people are exhausting.
I find them half back.
I feel drained after interactions.
You know what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do the Big 5 test.
It's a good idea. I mean, even if it never goes beyond just your own knowledge, it's good to know about yourself.
And also, it might give you a little bit of insight to why you do things. I think, although I know what
Well,
kind
and
of
how you
asshole
interact with other people too. So,
Right.
like whenever he calls me up and he's like, "Hey, you want to go to lunch?" and I'm just like, "Man, I just can't today." He doesn't hopefully take it badly. And think I just don't want to spend time with him because I'm just wiped out because I just went and got groceries and spent 3 hours in town the other day or whatever. I need a day just to recover.
And the reason I'm calling to ask if he wants to go to lunch is because I've been at home for 2-3 days. I haven't
Needs
spoken to
interaction.
anybody, and I need to sit down across from somebody and see facial expression, micro expression, body language, tone of voice, even if she's yelling at me again because something stupid. It doesn't matter. Interactions.
Yeah, all of it's good for you. Whereas I'm like, I will take people in this.
Yeah, if I walk up to somebody and they're happy to see me, it's great. And they're give me a hug, whatever the situation may be. it's great. And then if somebody walks up to me at a gas station and starts cussing me for a bumper sticker or the way I parked, maybe, or whatever the case may be, that's great too. You know, I mean, no interaction bothers me unless I have to draw my weapon. So it's all good for me. And even then, sometimes. Hey, but okay, so example, the other day, pulling into the gas station, some guy had pulled too far forward to use the pump in front of him, but because he was using the pump behind him, so he's blocking both pumps to fuel his one car. And I'm like, that's just rude. And I wanted to jump out of the well, I don't jump anymore, but I wanted to jump out of the truck and be like, hey asshole, or park like where a piece of paper wouldn't fit for my car, so he had to back up and do weird shit to get out. You know, just to prove that he was being an asshole. But because she was in the car, because I was giving her a ride somewhere, it was
How about the Cowboys?
I avoided it. You know? So it kind of was one of those things where yes, I could recharge my batteries by giving this guy an earful, but I know that just watching the exchange would exhaust the shit out of her, and she'd be crabby the rest of the day, and I wouldn't get any tasty food when I took her home. I mean, that's pretty much how you have to operate around an introvert. You have to make sure you're not making them uncomfortable, or else A, you're gonna have to like beat somebody's ass, or B, you're gonna have to like backpedal your way out of it. Otherwise, it's your fault. So, I mean, usually it is my fault.
Are you talking about so I was doing the personality test myself in the background while I was listening to you talk, right? These questions are tricky.
They're not. You just gotta like answer them the way.
If you
Well-
have a problem with decisiveness, they might be tricky.
Well, the thing is, it's asking you generally unfazed by what strangers may think of you when you meet them, and I'm like, well, that's an
Some
iffy
of them are
question.
situational.
Yes.
Right. If you're bouncing, no, you don't care because you know you're the asshole. Tell them to get out of there. But if it's a personal meet and greet, somebody's like, man, I don't like that guy. He looks like he's ready to, hit me with a club or whatever. Then yeah, you're gonna be like, hell, dude. So most questions like that I have an issue with because they're not specific enough. Like,
Yeah.
people have asked me questions
what-
before,
why
and I'm
it
gonna
says
go,
in
okay, I'm
general.
gonna press it. I'm gonna preface this with the statement that depending on the situation, this is how I would answer. Because they'll give you a general question, and you're like, that's
You're like Sheldon at the DMV.
okay, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah,
He's like, technically, that's not correct.
yeah. Technically, the length of a car is not a real measurement because it
Yeah.
varies by the length of the car, which is wrong because the car you're driving is the measurement length of the
Right.
car, and 5 of those lengths is how far you should be behind because the lighter car is shorter. See, I even picked shit like that apart, which drives her nuts.
If you guys want to try to take out the test, here's one of them. I'm posting it in chat.
Yeah, the thing about the test is, in my opinion, it's my opinion, which you're allowed to have whatever wrong opinion you want to have. But if you're not paying for the test, it's more likely that you lie to yourself when answering. But if you're paying for it, and it's only $10, right? So if you're paying for it, you're going to think, well, I'm not going to waste the $10 and I'm going to get an honest answer. Because there might be something about yourself you don't like, and you lie to yourself about it.
Oh,
That's not true,
Yeah, then you know you're lying to yourself.
Yeah, but there are people, lots of them, that lie so much that they believe the lie themselves. You know, when they say, you know, oh, I can speed read or I can, you know, I'm the best driver I ever knew. And it's just like,
You're full of shit.
yeah, you took your driver's test 9 times and finally got your license. You're the best driver. Like, I think there might be a discrepancy there. But, you know, that's why I think, like, picking the free ones, as long as you can truthfully be honest with yourself, great. But, you know, if you're paying for it, you're not going to waste the money. Problem. Wait, there are people, Blackford says.
Well, I wanted to support Jordan Peterson too because I like him,
Well,
and
he's a cool dude.
that's one that you can take and you can get the results. They email the results to you, and you know, then you may be like, well, yeah, maybe I do need to see a psychologist to work on that a little bit, and that'll be the direction that I can make sure that those sessions go in. You know what? I'm here for this.
Right.
You can define it better and what you want out of a session better.
Like, go ahead and like scroll down to the first explanation. That one tells you the basic traits, of course. What they mean, but
Openness means open to new experiences.
Can't read it. I can't see it, so they can't see it either. Whatever you're reading.
really,
Oh, okay, I see it now. I see it now. Yeah,
I'm gonna say I
in the
can see it
original.
on-
Yeah, I see
It's
it.
important that those are defined properly too, so you understand exactly what traits and what they mean in relation to you.
rather than just what is common knowledge
Right.
or belief of what intellect or aesthetics or whatever it means. Because a lot of that stuff, people, especially in psychology, they hear something like sociopath and psychopath. A lot of people have no idea what the difference is, or even that there is a difference. So these things are very, very nice as far as
It explains
Explain.
the scoring and everything too. And for each trait, it goes through and explains exactly what it means in relation to you and in relation.
you're going too
Overall.
fast for him. So like the first one, agreeableness.
That's probably why I can put up with him.
Okay. Told you this is going to be a patch on row night.
I'm sorry. I'm just
No, go ahead, get it out. Get it out. We'll make some more chili.
some apology chili.
Yeah, something. Eddie or something. But yeah, these the individual traits or in depth that they go in is a lot better. I think than a lot of like online tests.
Mike's, you're to the pictures of the monkeys on the screen. And Mike says, hey, look, my picture's on the screen.
Digging around for mites.
Oh, my God.
So yeah, there you go, Eddie. There's the agreeableness, which sounds like a good trait, right?
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. I wish
No,
I
it's
was
not.
a little less agreeable.
So agreeableness is not really good. Too much of it. You want to be at moderate, okay? But really high, yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, it kind of sets you up to agree to pretty much anything.
I mean, she
Yeah.
married me twice, right?
Yeah, she agreed to it twice.
Crazy as that.
Manipulative bastard, chauvinist pig I am.
You're chauvinist in all the right ways, though. You open the doors, you carry the heavy stuff. It's all nice. I don't mind
I
it.
yell anytime I see one of your ex-boyfriends.
See, it says right there, I'm nice.
Huh? Compliant, nurturing, kind
Naively trusting, that's
Yeah.
the booger.
and conciliatory.
Because of their tendency to avoid conflict, they often dissemble and hide what they think.
Which, if you're not psychic, makes it hard to live with.
Yes.
Just saying.
Plus, I'm avoidant on top of it. So, yeah, confrontations, actually solving issues, not great at it.
Like a less agreeable person would have let me off the leash a lot more, but it took extreme circumstances for her to
Caleb.
look at me and be like, "Would you go kill that, please?"
That's the one time I let you off the leash, really let you off
Right.
the leash.
Well, you let me beat your brother up, but you told me not to hurt him.
Well, he hit our kid, so he deserved to,
She wouldn't let me punch him. I had to choke him.
I would have lit him up like the 4th of July.
And the little pussy went to the hospital anyway. I mean, to be fair, he did have a ring of black bruise around because I didn't do it rear naked. I did a cross collar choke, and I dug my knuckles in hard to his artery. So, yeah, he was bruised through the whole neck muscles.
Well, you shouldn't have put his hands on your kids.
that's true.
True. To be fair,
He picked up a hammer
well,
to retaliate,
yeah.
but my dad took it away from him and said, no, he'll shove that up your ass.
It'll shove that up.
But then I replied,
Our kid was only like 8 at the time, by the way.
and to be fair, our kid did hit him in the nuts
He did?
because they were playing a game and Justin beat him several times. And then James got mad and threw the controller directly at his crotch. And
Oh, see, I
so
didn't know that.
then Justin slapped him. And then James got upset. And then your parents called me and said, "We can't beat this kid's ass. You mind coming over and doing it for me?" And I'm like,
Yeah, that was my
I'll
dad.
be right there. So, but yeah, she let me off the leash, but she didn't let me off the leash. She pushed that button that some of them have that let the dog run out, but they still on the leash.
I was actually referring to the incident at the hospital when he
Oh.
had to go in for surgery. That's the time I was talking about. I really wasn't wanting to do family drama, but all right.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. You're not allowed back here in recovery. Better get somebody bigger than you to tell me.
I was waiting out there with my dad, and after I sent you in, I elbowed him and I was like, "Hey, watch this. You just watch what happens."
All the
I knew.
kids were shitting themselves and calling for a deputy. And
Rogue.
Yeah,
$10 is 2 steaks or eggs, milk, and bread. Okay, where do you live where you could
I
take
know.
$10 and buy eggs, milk, and bread? Where do you live? Because
yeah,
$10,
or 2 steaks.
okay, $10 will buy me 1 steak where I live. It won't buy me milk, eggs, bread. Man, it must be nice. Your groceries are cheap there. Because where I live,
Well,
they're expensive.
yeah, I think she's mostly referring to, $10 is $10. I mean, it's food that can go in your cupboard, refrigerator, which I understand. But for people that have strong mental issues or having a hard time going through life and struggling, or just dealing with any particular thing and not sure what it is, the test is great, but I don't know. I've just seen a lot of people that struggle, and of course, you know how it is, Eddie. They come to you and ask you questions like you're some kind of fucking person with knowledge, right? So they come to you and they ask you, and you see they're struggling and they're confused and they don't know how. I've seen a lot of people like that can't see past their own brain to just cut to the core and answer it without overthinking it or trying to flavor the answers in the direction they want. So, I mean, that's the only reason I mention it is because I can take a task, go to a store, and I know what they want for an answer. So I'm going to give it so I get the job. And then, I'm basically lying to them and myself in a way and get the job. So it's easy to do that when you're taking a test, when you know what the answer that will, you pretty much know every question, you know, what the best answer for what outcome you want. So that's the only reason I mentioned it. Of course, you don't have to. It'd be get better to have a free one than none at all, obviously. But
See, me, I like to. I'm just honest with myself. You know, no matter what I do, even if it's for a job that I don't want, you know, I'm still honest with myself. So, and I agree. I rather with today's time, you know, if you would have asked me several years ago when gas prices were cheap and food was cheap and everything else, I'd go out and spend the money on the test.
right.
But with shopping with Rogue is annoying, just saying. But to go around, like, I canceled all I was members to so many channels, and I'm like, dude, this is getting expensive. I was a member to 3 channels, and I canceled all 3 memberships because it was just getting too expensive. You know, I got too many other bills I have to worry about, plus food prices are slowly going up still.
I had a couple of WoW or gaming channels that used to subscribe to as well, but yeah, it all had to go by the wayside.
Right. And I mean, I understand $10, $10. I mean, I schedule my fuel up right before the next fuel delivery because that's when my gas station raises
I
the
don't
price.
Knox.
I do every little bitty thing to save every little dollar for a lot of different things. But even if I don't necessarily need to at the time or whatever, I'm as cheap as possible as I can. If I'm bulk from the Mennonite store, all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to my own mental health and in a way my own safety, because that is part of your mental health, that's something I don't necessarily skip on for me. But if you're just curious and you're
Yeah.
just wanting to get something, I'm sure there's the other tests are almost as good or as good or maybe even better.
And the $10 for this test is not going to replace a session with a psychologist as they get to know you over a period of time. It's not gonna. It's just a baseline. You know,
A hardcore chauvinist.
think you are.
So I'm gonna bring up. I'm gonna invite another introvert up here, so 2 introverts can talk to each other. That's if this introvert.
This is like seeing a unicorn. Introverts would by almost like the law of the universe would rarely run into each other. So great.
Oh, we can recognize each other a mile away, though.
You just look at each other and go, and never say a word and keep walking.
Well, yeah, because that's the best interaction ever.
God.
Nod.
Well,
Ready to go home yet?
to be fair, if you see another motorcycle rider, you just nod or wave or whatever. And then, see another enlisted in the army or something like that. You're just like, yeah, I know what you are. So, yeah, I get it.
I dropped the link for you, Rogue.
I mean, my kid gives me shit a lot because I'll drive to the next. If I know I'm driving to the next town sometime next week, I'll let my gas go lower than I normally do, just so I can fill up in that town. It's cheaper, even by a cent or two, because over a lifetime that adds up. So yes, I'm a cheap bastard. Just ask her. I would just build anything she needed.
That's part of the
Chicken
fun
coop.
sometimes. Like that last time I came over, we built that little mobile for.
Oh yeah, I got
Yeah.
another reason I got the new cam, by the way, is so that I can use the old one for a cat cam. So if anybody wants to see the cat fucking up his new toy that he helped me put together, turn that on and scratch
If it's
inappropriate
something you
things while
don't
you're not
need
looking at
and
me.
it's not like providing basic infrastructure for your household and it's just a cat toy, it's fun to do that stuff. It's not fun when it's a computer.
Yeah, I was gonna say you weren't all that talking about how it was fun when we were doing your computer the other day.
No, it's not fun when it's a necessity. It's fun. when
So
it's a
do
cat
you want to scroll down to where it says where the extrovert
toy. Absolutely.
yeah.
Sorry if that's given anybody motion sickness, but that's the length of the explanation for each trade. So it's going to be like a couple pages for each one.
Actually, conscientiousness is
Yeah, that
actually-
one bothered me.
that's actually a really good explanation and stuff too.
Okay, so there we extroversion. You're
I'm proud of
exceptionally
her.
low. All right. You are exceptionally low in extroversion, which is the primary dimension of positive emotion in the Big Five personality trait scientific model. Extroversion is a measure of generally sensitivity to positive emotions such as hope, joy, anticipation, and approach, particularly in social situations. The two aspects of extroversion are enthusiasm and assertiveness.
Yeah, and
Your
I
score
bombed assertiveness too.
your score puts you at the fourth percentile of extroversion. Okay, scroll down a little bit.
Yeah, so if she was in a room of 100 people. 4 people might be less.
People with exceptionally low levels of extroversion are extraordinarily less enthusiastic, talkative, assertive in social situations, or gregarious. They find social contact rapidly draining and tiring, and uncontrollably crave time alone to recharge. And that's exactly what my friend said, recharge.
Yep, and like even when I was younger, I might go hang out with some friends for the evening as going out. But I did not like to go to parties. I did not like to go to clubs really. I'd rather hang out with 2 or 3 people that I know and like really well than to hang out with 50 that I don't know at all and have to figure them out.
DJ Rogue Knox.
Is my mic working?
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
it is.
Okay.
So,
See this?
so people, okay, so they rarely plan parties, tell jokes, make people laugh, or volunteer for community activities. They're more likely to be depressed and to have lower levels of self-esteem, particularly if they are high in neuroticism. They are generally much more pessimistic about the past, present,
Definitely.
and future.
I'm much more pessimistic.
Is that true for you?
Absolutely. Yeah, pretty much 100%.
Not true for me.
Yeah.
I'm not very depressive or pessimistic.
I'm not depressive, but I'm pessimistic for sure. He always has a better outlook on whatever's going on than what I do.
I did score very high in neuroticism though. I'm very
I
neurotic.
think I'm about average, I think. I think I was in the 50s.
51 actually.
People exceptionally low in extroversion keep almost everything to themselves, feeling no compulsion to share their general thoughts with other people. They are not at all self-disclosing either and warm up very slowly to other people.
That's
They
definitely me.
they are markedly uncomfortable in a group-oriented situation, much prefer one-to-one interaction. Again, particularly when high in neuroticism. So you scored it very high, so that's basically saying you prefer one-on-one interaction instead of being in a group.
Right.
They're very much less likely to speak in meetings, will almost never speak first, and must be prodded for an opinion. They are remarkably less likely to captivate and convince, especially in groups, and will very rarely be the first to act in an ambiguous situation.
What is
Ready
an
for me to
ambiguous
scroll down?
situation?
Oh, so you don't know what ambiguous is?
What an ambiguous situation would be? What would be an example of that?
Okay. Let me get the definition first, because I don't know what ambiguous is. And then I can, once I know the definition, okay, open to more than one interpretation, having a double meaning. Okay, unclear or intact because of a choice between alternatives have not been made. So basically, what they're saying is,
Okay, I see.
yeah, opening to one or yeah, it's just doubtful or uncertain situations.
Yeah, something that's not very clearly defined, something that's it's unclear.
Kristen,
Awesome.
76, how are you doing?
Kristen.
So, all right, let me see. Okay, I already read that part. People exceptionally low in, did I already read that? Yeah. So
Yeah.
ambiguous situations. Those exceptionally low in extroversion are much more suited to occupations that require work alone or work with few other well-known individuals, such as computer programming or accounting. Jobs involving sales, persuasion, working in groups, and public speaking do not at all appeal to them, and they are very unlikely to be successful at such things, particularly if they are also high in neuroticism and or low in conscientiousness. So here's an example of ambiguous situation. A typical example of an ambiguous situation is where there seem to be two solutions, but they seem to contradict each other. For example, you believe that a problem would be solved if people were more self-empowered, but you also believe it could be solved with the opposite, more teamwork.
Yeah, that's an example. I mean, I would use.
That's an example of what an ambiguous situation would be.
Got it.
And the funny thing is that when somebody who's kind of introverted runs up on one of those, it's like a stop sign. Whereas people like me see a situation and we immediately go, well, each one has the equal merit, therefore there's no point in milling over it. Just pick one and roll on. Like there's no, it doesn't slow us down at all. We storm right through it because the end goal is more important, or whatever the case may be. But like that doesn't bring up any fear in me that I might make the wrong decision or somebody's not going to agree with me or any of that kind of stuff. It's just I had two options. One didn't look any better than the other, so I picked one and ran with scissors.
You know, you want to know what's crazy is years ago when I was an alcoholic and when before I started drinking, like that day, I hated being around groups of people until I was drunk, and then I didn't care. But up until the point where until I started drinking, I was in the corner somewhere, like secluded, away from people.
Yep,
And
that's me too. Or was me.
okay, but now it's like I love being in groups of people. Okay, I love
Now that
being.
doesn't mean go out and drink like a fish if you're an introvert.
No, it's not.
I
mean,
did,
will
but no, that's not
say,
the way.
I will say some of that stuff Amy showed you earlier in Discord does seem to help with that. But
For me, yes. It helps quite a lot.
So, with me is I quit drinking 12 years ago, and I started going to therapy and all this stuff, and I went from being an introvert to an extrovert. Like I like more group settings than I like being by myself. Okay, mentally it's healthier for me to be in a group setting than it is to be by myself. Some people it's healthier for them to be by themselves than it is to be in a group setting. You know, it to each it's its own, but
and
with
some people, I won't necessarily name names, consider one other person in the room a group setting.
Sometimes I'm like that. Sometimes I'm like that too.
Even back when I slept in that room, there were times I did not feel comfortable. Saying,
Give me my coffee and my.
yeah.
And I live in a house with 4 other people, but they all know if I'm in my room and the door's shut, don't bother me. Don't just leave me alone.
Which was one of my frustrations during her last marriage was that I constantly was telling her, look, you need a room that is yours and yours alone. The kids aren't allowed to go in there. Do whatever it is you like to do, you know, eat stuff, bake stuff, whatever it is. I'll build a room for whatever you want to do. If you just stay in there and the kids aren't allowed to go in there, dogs aren't allowed to go in there, whatever the case may be. And she wouldn't believe it, but it really would be the way to recharge when the kids were doing, you know, asshole teenage boy things. 3 teenage boys is rather rowdy in a group in itself to deal with one tiny little hobbit, you know. So I even if she wasn't an introvert, she needed a place to recharge. But sometimes she
All right.
has to hear stuff from somebody with letters after their name before she'll believe it. I'm gonna get smacked. Oh,
Marcus said I'm not even allowed in there when the door's shut.
I am.
Nope, nobody.
But I think everybody needs a safe zone that they can go to, and people are like not gonna bother them unless it's an emergency or something, obviously. And just because I don't care how extroverted you are, I don't care whatever. There are times when you just, you know what, I need to be alone because if I'm not, I'm gonna start choking people out at random, you know, whatever the case may be. I think it is something that everybody needs to a degree. Some people, it's fine to just get in your car and be alone while you're driving to work. That's enough to recharge. Other people need to, you know, go out in the woods and live like a wolf for 6 months.
So people extremely low in extroversion, okay, impulsive, even when they offer the opportunity to do something particularly exciting or fun. They rarely choose to sacrifice the future to the present. When something social or group oriented happens, they would rather be alone to study and work. They don't find opportunities to chat, joke, and socialize distracting. This is particularly the case if they are also high in consciousness. However, when people are very introverted and
Conscientious.
conscientious, they are less productive than when extroverted and conscientiousness, perhaps because they have lower levels of energy. When you, man, they use these big words. Oh man, when very introverted and comparatively, Jesus. We all know the
He's
word
read it a few
unconscious.
times. He can read it off.
Yeah, read it off. I'm getting tired of reading. My head's hurting.
When very introverted and comparatively unconscientious, however, they are more productive than when extroverted and unconscientious. People exceptionally low in extroversion are much less dominant in social situations, particularly when they are also high in agreeableness. Less agreeable extroverts tend to be self centered, something that can be made worse if they are low in conscientiousness. Uncommonly introverted people are protected against such tendencies. So you're not going to see somebody like me that's a narcissist because we don't like attention. It makes me uncomfortable, honestly.
Hence the no can.
Yeah.
Are you an introvert there, Viper?
I'm an introvert, yes.
Man, I got a lot of introverts in my
Well,
community.
I don't
There
like being
goes-
around humans. I'm kind of allergic to them. You know.
Man, if I ever wanted to do a meet and greet with you guys, I'd have to do a one-on-one.
I mean, okay. So if I'm allowed to wear a mask, you should be fine.
I'm just saying, if I ever did a meet and greet with my community, right? If I ever said, hey, I'll be here, let's all get together, that's not going to happen. Hey, I'll be here.
They might all
12.
Zoom in to the meeting.
Yeah, they'd probably do that.
Yeah, not even show up and hang out.
They're fine with digitally doing it through Zoom.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
They're not-
I
You
could
just
do
have
it.
to-
I could do
Yep.
it in person, but it would be a limited amount of time.
I would have to have the
I-
money to drive however far I have to drive.
I offered to take my Jeep and drive around, pick people up, do a drive-by hugging for Eddie. And like one person was like, yeah, bring it on. Let's go. And, everybody else is like, I'm not going to respond to that. But I get it. I mean, everybody looks at life differently. And it took me decades to understand that I wasn't doing something wrong to make her the way she was.
I never meant to make you feel like
Well,
you were doing
Yeah, you
anything
didn't
wrong.
make, but I didn't understand you were a 4 introversion scale.
How extreme my
Right.
dysfunction really ran. How
So
deep it was.
yeah, so basically, it kind of turned into that kind of thing. I spent a lot of time going, man, what the fuck am I doing wrong? I build wherever she wants me to build. Yeah, I break shit too. I try to be nice. I bring her coffee when I come home, so she's happy to see me. But she still seems like mad.
That's way better
it's
than Rose.
because, but it was because she was so drained. Even her
Yeah, it
own
was
kids
exhausting.
were exhausting. She still loved him, of course, and I wouldn't want him to have any other mother. But even they were exhausting, especially like other mothers at school events and going to soccer practice or football practice or whatever would just drain her. And I thought, man, she just went out soccer practice. She got to talk to a bunch of people. She got to have adult conversations. Like, why isn't she like in a good mood?
Yeah, he thought
I
that
must be doing something wrong.
it was the exact opposite.
Right.
I don't know.
And again, this is one of those things that I tell people. I've been divorced twice. Yes, both times it was her, but I've been divorced twice, so I know a little bit about what not to do. And what I didn't do was take this test back then, have her take the test, and then have somebody who has letters after her name go, yeah, these are going to be the problems in your relationship. And this is why you need to like not be such a dick or whatever the case may be. And
figure out a compromise on
Right.
the areas where you're polar opposites.
Yeah. So lack of communication is the killer of all relationships a lot
Yep.
of times.
Yep.
And this is lack of communication with myself. I didn't realize how high of an extrovert I was. And I didn't realize how low of it or high of an introvert or whatever she is. So polar opposites. And I thought we were going to meet somewhere in the middle, but on introversion, extroversion, we're never going to meet in the middle. You know, whereas she's a 4, it's very likely I'm a 96. So, you know, we're not going to reach around 50. I can't go that introverted and she can't go that extrovert.
Well, it could also be an area where you guys just need to do your own separate things. You can go have your friends and stuff, and I can stay at home and be happy.
Yeah.
On other stuff, we can maybe, be more in alignment and do things together, but not outside.
Yeah, that was the problem. That was the problem with my last relationship. Like, shit, she always wanted to go to the bar or the clubs and stuff. And we have this
Yeah.
bar that actually has an outside area in the back. No one ever sits out there. I would always just go sit out there 'cause I can't stand being around so many damn people. And that's one reason why we got a divorce, but that's not the only reason. But I can't do crowds of people, even though I'm a musician, right? And I like being, but see, that's different because I don't really see the people. The lights are too bright. You don't really see the people in the crowd, really. I'm up on stage and I feel like I'm by myself. But
Plus, your music is your shield.
Yeah, yeah.
my music has
Like
always
if I
been
was
my
doing a
shield.
presentation for art, it'd probably be great fun.
Right.
But-
Like these paintings behind the wall, that's all her. She made those for me.
Plus,
So-
I actually have control. If I tell people to get down, they get down. If I tell them to jump, they jump. If I tell them to split, they split. I can tell them to do anything. It's
Somebody's being a dick, you call somebody
Yeah.
Eddie to go
Talk
run
to
them
the
out.
bouncer. Get that guy out of here.
I actually, well, we actually had to get somebody kicked out of the club once. He was throwing beer bottles at like actual bottles at the band and stuff, and we had to stop and
Jesus.
get him kicked out.
And apparently you were off tune that night. No. Fucking dicks. No, I used to be security at a lot of bars and stuff like that over the years, doing private security because that pays more than actual. But I would do that and watch people just turn into total asshats. And I understand you can't deal with stressful situations in groups, then that's a shit show for you. I don't envy existing like that. And at the same time, you guys don't envy existing like me. Because even though it seems better on the surface for a lot of
I
people,
don't know that I would want to need other people's presence that
Right.
much.
there are drawbacks.
I don't know.
Believe it
that
or
I-
not,
Because
there are
it's important
drawbacks
for
to
your
being
psychological health. I could go weeks without seeing another person other than my kids and be perfectly happy. As long as all my needs were being met physically, have food and water. Roll up the window, crack the window a little bit, I'll be fine.
Crack the window when you leave her in the car, when you go in the store like a fucking shit.
I don't know that I agree with the first sentence of this at all because I am very assertive. Well, I can be very assertive, not all the time, but
What do you
Oh.
mean?
it says the other aspect of extroversion is assertiveness. Introverts
does-
can be assertive too.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
It just plays into the overall percentage.
Yeah,
It is kind of
I'm
weird
very
though, because
low.
like
That's my lowest score.
at a job, even though I'm allergic to people when I go and work, I want to be noticed. Compared to being not at work, I don't care. I don't like to be around people. It's really weird.
And probably even people you like.
Oh shit, I
Even-
don't like a lot of the people I worked with.
Right, but even like somebody you actually like in your life, you can only spend so much time.
Well, yeah,
the-
but like that's the thing. Is like I can spend one-on-one time, or I can spend with a group of like drinking beers and hanging out with a small group. But if it comes to a crowd of people, if it comes going out to things and out to events and things like that, I cannot stand that shit. people sometimes I know some people are talkative and shit, but I hate when a stranger comes up and just starts talking to me like they know me or some shit, and it annoys the hell out of me.
Which I mean, I totally like respect people that are like, dude, what the fuck? Get the fuck, you know. But for me, if I don't talk to a person who seems to be actively avoiding me, I just assume I have shit on my face, or something's going on, that I did something, or they know something about me that they don't like. Like there's a reason why this person is actively avoiding you. And so it bothers me because I want to know what I did wrong so I can correct the behavior. But it may just be one of these introverts that are just like, hey, get away from me. And they don't really think I'm an asshole. They don't want to talk to me.
Yeah.
Well, you also have to conserve your energy to spend it on the people that matter. So you're far, at least for me, I care about strangers in that, like, I don't want them to get ran over. I don't want anything bad to happen to them, but I don't actually, not interested in their life. I save that because I need the energy for it for people I do love. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, well, definitely it does, because
Yeah.
I
Now,
witnessed
Like my
I,
kids.
I,
Right.
I have a question. Is there such thing as a person that's neither an extrovert or an introvert?
Oh, absolutely. You can fall in the middle. These are just the extreme ends. These are the
Okay.
high swings on each end of the pendulum is introvert and extrovert.
Right, it's all
There's-
about-
most people are probably more in the middle.
Well, I mean, technically, that is exactly what it is, because if you're at 50%, that means you're 50% of people are less than you, 50% are more than you.
Right.
You're just right there in the center.
It's just it's a spectrum. Like there's a variety of people, and there's different sizes of groups that they feel comfortable and happy in. And one time you may go out and be exhausted when you come back, but if you're around the same situation with a different group of people that are more appealing to you, maybe the next time you come home after going out, you're not tired at all. You're ready to kick back and watch TV.
Yeah, and another thing that a lot of people who are getting interested in these things and seeing why they do the things they do, and understand what these things actually mean, and get the explanation. They believe, well, okay, well, that's just the way I am, and then that's the end of it. So it's not true. Even somebody with 1 on one of these scores, they can bring that up. You can. I know she's sitting here laughing at me, shaking her head, but you can change the behavior. Force yourself to change the behavior.
It's not
And-
written in stone.
Eventually,
It's a
the personality will start to alter a little bit. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be a 98 tomorrow, or
I could
that
probably
you
bring
even
it
need
up
to
to a
be.
20.
Yeah,
I could
mean,
probably do
if
that
you focus on it, you can change these behaviors.
if you want to.
Right, if you want to. If you don't want to, then fuck it, who cares? But they are not locked in.
They're traits. They're not in concrete. They're
Right.
tendencies.
And some of her traits are at these numbers because some of the things she's prone to have been reinforced or nurtured. So, like, her nature may not be anything like these scores, all different, but because she had a tendency towards something and then it was nurtured by being mistreated or encouraged in one way or discouraged in another, those traits grew. So, if they can alter from your nature by the nurture you got, then you can nurture yourself and change those behaviors. I mean, that's just how I look. A lot of people that are locked into stuff like this, they don't. I mean, just even the assertiveness thing, if you're not all that assertive about doing things, yeah, you're going to struggle with it. You're going to fight. So, yeah, sometimes I get called a dick or an asshole just because
You're super assertive.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking to myself, I understand this test. Now I've seen this test, and then, I'm trying to get her out of her shell still. Let's go to the fair that's in town today. And she walks up, takes 10 minutes to walk through it, and she's like, "Yep, I'm fucking done." fuck you guys, you know. And but you know what? That was a little bit of exposure. Maybe next time she could stay for 12 minutes or 15 or whatever.
I could stay for as long as I wanted. I just didn't see anything there that
Well, yeah, in
Sounds
that particular
interesting.
instance, but I mean,
Well,
exposing
or
them,
phobic or
right? Like
anything.
when I thought I might be a little bit afraid of jump of heights, I was like, I need to jump out of a fucking airplane. You know, that's the way I am.
That'd be cool.
People in her situation can't approach it that way because that's going to cause more neurosis. So, you know,
So
At
I
that
have to go
point,
back to a
Davis
previous
did.
stream when y'all were talking about drinking. Who was it? It was
It was
y'all were talking
me.
about drinking. Like, yeah. So drinking, I would say that as an introvert, like drinking actually makes me get out there more. I feel more comfortable talking to people, and I don't remember because I'm drunk. But supposedly I'm like a talker. I could talk about so much shit so fast and stuff and meet people. But when I'm not drinking, I can't seem to do that. If I feel awkward around people and weird.
Yeah.
Start having allergic reactions. You know, I'm itching all over the place. Oh my god, all these people, they're making me sick. But that's one thing about drinking, other than actually feeling good, because we're talking about depression a couple streams ago, also with the drinking and stuff. But like that's other than being it bubbly and talking to people and actually doing having a conversation with people I don't even know. It's also the fact of drinking to make myself feel better and feel good instead of having all the emptiness and all that shit. But I don't. I guess I turn into an extrovert when I drink or something. I don't know. I don't know anything about this shit. I just, don't like going out. I'm a vampire, werewolf, zombie. I just stay in the house. If somebody comes to my house, I have to attack them, try and eat their brains or something.
Right? Drink their blood till they're almost dead and then eat their brain.
Yeah. Well,
but-
vampire, werewolf, zombie. I mean,
So Pav said, I think it was written by an extrovert. I don't know if he called Jordan Peterson an extrovert.
I think he's probably on the extrovert end. I don't think he's like in the 90s, but he's probably 70-ish. I would say.
So, and then the assertiveness is not as related to introverts and extroverts. Okay, so yes, it's not as related as it seems like in her case, but it is a fact. Like every one of these things can factor into any other.
Well, your assertiveness definitely plays into it because if you can't strike up a conversation and join a social group because you're not assertive enough, you're going to be an introvert. That's
Well, yeah,
part of it.
that's a part. Like saying there's one thing that causes you to be an introvert or an extrovert
No,
is
it's
a little
multiple.
too simplified. There are so many categories that can make it. It could be that you're just self-conscious because you have scars from when you were a kid and was caught in a fire. Or there are a lot of things that can lean you towards the introverted scale in these general questions. I mean, that's why those questions seem to be a little too situational. But and even for other people, they seem a little bit generalized or whatever. But it's just a matter of getting a good place to start and work on things. That none of these things that are explaining about different traits, whether they're what you perceive as positive or negative, because none of them are positive or negative. They're just traits. And none of them are a judgment. None of them are saying they need to change. They're just saying, statistically speaking, people with this level of this trait have this thing. So it's not saying like, well, not assertive, then you're just gonna have to be a shut-in the rest of your life. Like there's no totalitarian to this. It's all on a scale and it all can be altered. So anything that was said in this for her isn't a negative towards her. It might be a negative for what she wants for herself. But if you're happy and you're this way, more power to you. I mean, she doesn't need to change. If she wants to, I mean, I'm there to help her, but
Well, I think introverts, people get a weird perception sometimes, like that you are afraid to go outside and you're afraid to be in social situations. And there may be a little bit of that, but it's not the primary thing. The primary thing is you don't have a lot of energy for a lot of extra
Right.
bullshit.
It
So
just drains your batteries. To
Yeah,
do
it
that,
drains your
it's like
battery.
you being on high beam with the alternator. You're only going to be able to do it for so long before the car dies.
See, I think anxiety has a lot to do with mine, at least, because if I go out to a restaurant, for example, I can't stand all the clinging and smacking and the fork scraping on the teeth and like a bowl with clinging noises. I can't stand all that shit. It's so
sounds like
annoying.
sensory integration, maybe a
It,
sensory
it's
sensitivity.
it just annoys me. Like you hear people grabbing things and all that stuff, and it's just too much going on. But it gives me like really bad anxiety when I go out to eat at
Yeah,
restaurants
our
just before the
youngest
sun.
son had that. I think he might still have a touch of it. It's called sensory integration disorder, and it made it to where some things like jumping off the third or fourth stair and landing on his knees on a wooden floor didn't seem to bother him at all. But a cat meowing too much outside would send him into a rage. Right, so he didn't process them properly. Now his was because of brain damage, but it really would. There would be certain things that would just annoy the shit out of him. You're like, how can you even hear that? You know, most people just tune that out. And he wouldn't. So
Yeah.
Well, he didn't have any type of filter. Like
No.
most of us, what do you call it? Filter out like the white noise and everything. He can hear every single thing, and he's aware of it at all times.
well, he had no emotional filter either. It pissed him off a little bit.
Very easily frustrated.
He beat a kid on the shoe with a shoe on the school bus one time because they said something about your mama so whatever.
No, they called me a bitch. Your mom's a bitch.
Oh yeah, so your mom's a bitch, and he was just like
was
sweetest
it
kid,
for
never
him.
do anything, and just like
Even
mom's a
talking
bitch.
about it now, he
Yeah.
gets mad all over again.
Oh, yeah, he certain things he has no filter at all because of his
So,
brain damage.
is he autistic? Is that
He
what it
has
is, or-
autistic traits that present as autistic, but his
Yeah,
issue came from when he was 3 years old. He had 2 frontal lobe edemas.
And a spinal cord herniation.
Yeah, spinal cord herniation, and part of those things stopped part of the ability to process emotion properly. A few other things, had seizures most of his young life, everything like that. So,
Sorry to hear that.
but it wasn't like he presents as somewhat artistic in some ways, but it's for different reasons. So the normal treatments for the artistic stuff really normally don't work. You basically have to slowly give him limits and behaviors that he will adjust to and then become part of his routine. There's no like medications or
Yeah,
anything
see, I
like
think
that.
I think I brought this up one time. I don't know if it was on this panel or another panel, but I was a manager at Best Buy, and we had this child. He's like he's 9 years old or 10-year old child, and he's autistic, and the smartest kid I've ever met. Like autistic kids can be really smart with their passion of what they like.
Yes.
He would come buy electronics, like he would buy like the Texas calculators, um he would
Graphing
buy
type.
yeah, the graphing calculators. He would go and buy like these little radios or all these little electronic things, and he would make a phone so he can call his mom with existing parts, bouncing off of
See, he
towers, all
needs
this
to
different
apply
stuff.
to Elon Musk's program where you don't need to have a college degree or anything, and he'll be just like, yeah, show me how
Now,
you
he
put
was-
that phone together, and you're hired.
Yeah, he was one of my favorite customers because he knew a lot about electronics, even though he was nonverbal. So, I mean, it was sign language and stuff, but he was so smart, dude. He could take apart any electronic, put it back together, or fix any electronic, and he would build these like phone radio things so he can call his mom on her cell phone. It's so cool. It was so cool. I always enjoyed having him hanging around me when we were sitting there doing putting demos, and and all that stuff on computers and stuff.
Sounds like a neat kid.
Oh yeah, it was awesome experience. And there was other kids too. There was some because there was a group that came in all the time. But there was some other kids that were more verbal, right? And they can remember anything.
Eidetic memory.
Yeah, it's like a photographic memory. They can remember anything, and so they read a book and they learned already. And there's a lot of different things like that. It's really cool. There was one that was really good with music, that can know tones and different things like that. And what he would sit there, and do these things with his fingers, like his twitching and stuff, or he's moving his fingers like he's playing a piano.
Self-stimming. Yep.
Yeah, like playing a piano or a bass guitar and stuff. But he was really good at learning instruments right off the fly. It was really cool.
He could play by ear. Yeah.
Yeah, because I could play by ear. I learned the hardest instrument I learned to play was bagpipes, but this kid right here could learn instantly, would know exactly how to play it better than any professional person. It seemed like it was the coolest damn thing ever. It was so cool.
Sounds like it.
Anyways, I just
Nice.
wanted to bring that up. Sorry.
No, that's those are great examples of just how misunderstood people are a lot of times. Is that
Mm-hmm.
they see a certain trait or a certain behavior and they just put you in a box and think you're a certain thing. And like just because you don't interact in every way the same way doesn't mean you're like socially or social what do you call it? Community wise, like not gonna contribute. So that kid, yeah, he didn't talk to you, but man, he can rip out Beethoven in a heartbeat. If you invent a new weapon, he plays it, or a new what do you call them? Instrument, he's gonna play it better than you did, So
Yeah,
that's
really
definitely
cool.
something that people misunderstand.
What's going on, Jesse Cat? What's going on, Smitty?
Anyways, I'll be right back. I'm gonna be mute in case somebody's gonna holler at me or ask me a question.
Okay. Rogue, you got anything going on for that last bit?
Nope. I just added the test I took. It scored it different than what this did. So I just put the link to what my results were in the back chat.
Well, I mean, everybody's going to score a little different.
No, it breaks down every
Oh, it does.
instead of just 5, it's got anxiety, anger, depression, like everything under those categories. It breaks it down.
Oh yeah, so she's got anxiety, anger, depression, self-consciousness, immoderation, vulnerability, friendliness.
Yeah, we're skipping over a lot of the parts on that.
Yeah, they are.
You had the big 5, and it also had a breakdown within the big 5.
I see.
We're just kind of like touching on.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Artistic interests is what is it on mine? It's aesthetics or something like that.
It's called aesthetics on hers, but artistic interest on this. Yeah, it's very, very similar.
Yeah, it's 30 something pages.
Right. But yeah, a lot of these things were kind of like you said, kind of a shock to her about how far along she was on one side or the other. But more of it was like getting a point to start from.
I've known I was an introvert for decades.
Right. But now kind of lets her see which ones. What was the one thing that you were surprised it had an effect on the other thing or something like that? Sorry, I don't have an idea.
Okay, did I miss something? What's the hashtag for
I don't know.
in chat?
No idea.
Oh, I know. It's Smitty Madman. He was up on panel last night. He that's his thing. I'm fine with it. He's good.
Okay. I was just wondering if I missed
What is
anything.
hashtag don't care?
Yeah, he had something happen to him, and he's just
Oh, got you.
yeah.
Which one's this section?
This is enthusiasm.
Doozy.
Prefer solitude, although they can enjoy themselves around other people. Oh, you want me to read it?
Sure.
They open up to other people with some difficulty, particularly in large social gatherings or parties. They laugh much more rarely than others. They prefer solitude, and although they can enjoy themselves around other people, it has to be in small doses. They are much more private people and are not markedly positive or optimistic. They avoid the spotlight, and if creative, may find performing much less desirable and draining. They rarely seek out stimulation, excitement, activity, or fun, and if they do so, prefer quieter activities. People low in enthusiasm are not gregarious or people loving and find it more difficult to generate a felt sense of excitement when offered the opportunity to engage in something that others might find engaging or entertaining.
Right.
Just not into it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's something that, to me, I don't know. I've never even thought of any of these traits really. I mean, I understand that some people thought it was weird that I could strike up a conversation with a stranger, talk to a group of 5,000 without a problem, or be in a group of people. Unless I'm getting like squished in and pushed around, I don't care. I don't care if I'm standing in a stadium with 50,000 people. It doesn't bother me, right? So, but I didn't realize that it was this in depth. And whether you put one label on it or another, or whatever, these types of tests do get you at a starting point and make you decide whether you want to improve something or not, or bring something down or not. It's just a great starting place, in my opinion. Never really looked at the results of it. Taken a ton of them, but I didn't care about the results. I basically said, like what you saw? Yeah, okay, that's enough. Let's go. That's it. So the fact that she's interested in what all this stuff means and isn't taking like offense to it, because to be honest, 20, 30 years ago, if I'd have said all this stuff about you, you'd have been mad at me. Right? Like you wouldn't have.
Well, because it's not possible for you to present an objective view of me because you're biased. This is unbiased. It's
Yeah. I suppose. But even if it was somebody,
that's the closest you've ever come to saying you're right.
But if it was somebody that I wasn't biased to, you still would be like, I probably ought to have them go see a professional before they take advice from you.
Jennifer.
Honestly,
You choke people out. So yeah.
That's just sport.
Yeah, it's just on my free day, When I'm bored.
I haven't in years that anybody can prove. You do it quick enough, you lose like 30 seconds of memory. Like if you sneak up, bam, get them out in 8 seconds, they don't even know who did it. Wait, am I telling myself?
The skeletons are coming out of the closet. Happy
No, I
Halloween.
burned them. It's called magnesium. It's hot. Besides, I don't have skeletons. I make dude smoothies.
Ah.
That's it. But no, I mean, now, unless anybody needs any more explanation from this test, the next part of this exercise probably should be the part where I get my ass kicked. So let's describe some of the problems with being an introvert married to an extrovert.
Oh yeah. I'm sure being married to me was kind of a nightmare. I never wanted to go anywhere. I never wanted to visit with anybody. I was always wiped out. I probably very rarely, if ever, initiated sex. I mean, it's going to lead to all kinds of problems.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about the stuff that bothered me. Like the irritation you would have
Oh,
by having to live with a loudmouth
how
asshole.
living with an extrovert was for me?
Mhm.
It wasn't that bad. I'm in agreeableness. So.
Now, now, are you saying that because the majority of my jobs kept me away from the house a lot? If you had to put up with me
Well-
with a 9 to 5 job for the last 11 years of our marriage, would you have stabbed me in my sleep? You knew you could get away
I've
with it.
never even hit anybody.
I know. But no, I mean the struggle, the frustration.
Well, I mean, I guess it was a little irritating at times because you had such a huge amount of friends that it seemed like there was always like we could never go anywhere and just do what we needed to do, go in the store and check out and go home in like 15 minutes like real people do. It was like meet a succession of people that wanted to talk to him for the next hour. Then we could progress to the next section of the store. And then there was another one, and it was just endless. So going anywhere together was.
And there's more than one young lady who I had pulled out of a car or took to the hospital or something like that would come up and talk to me at random, and I'd get in trouble. But for the most part,
You're pretty flirty.
I'm nice. That's not
Wait a
being
minute.
flirty.
I've got that has me questioning. Like, how is it a random person if you pulled them out of the car? That means you kind of know them, right?
Yeah.
Well, because I don't know them. You know, when you go on 105 calls in 1 year, you don't remember everybody.
Yeah, true. But
Until they tell me who they are, I'm like, oh yeah. And of course, it might have been 2-3 years ago too. And they look completely different, you know. And a lot of people look different when they're covered in blood.
oh, true. Yeah, I look different when I'm covered in blood.
I
Vibrant.
wouldn't know unless you count other people's blood. But no, it had to be a pretty big frustration for her because not only did I not behave in a way that was conducive to her introverted personality, I thought like there was something I was doing wrong. I was always trying to fix it, which had to be frustrating because, I'm saying, well, maybe I need to go hang out with different people, or maybe you need to go meet these people, or
How long did it take me to really get to like and trust and know Larry and Trudy? He told me this is the type of people that you would leave your kid with after knowing them for 10 minutes. And I'm like, no, it's not. That person does not exist for me. There is no one, I don't care how great they are, that I'm going to trust with my child after knowing them 10 minutes. After knowing them 10 years, maybe.
what?
I did eventually leave my child with him, and the one that was, had special medical needs. They're the only people I trusted beyond my parents, but it took me a long time. Even Larry and Trudy, as wonderful as they are, and I respect them more than anybody else on the planet, but it took me a long time to warm up to them.
Which is kind of when I started getting a clue.
This
There's
one's
more to
different.
this. There's more to this than me
It's
just
not
taking
just
along.
shy. Not just shy, honey. Not at
They
all.
are the pinnacle of
Yeah, they
husband
are.
and wife. And
They're the best people
Parents
I
and-
know.
I can't find a flaw except for Larry, who was a Marine that loses his temper once in a while when somebody looks wrong in his kid, which I don't think is a bad trait. But he also would able to.
I would trust Larry and Trudy with any aspect of my life. Yes, absolutely.
But it did take her quite a long time to open up and trust those people, but a lot faster than any other person she's probably met. So, but yeah, that was the first indication for me that it wasn't just she needs to come out of her shell. She needs to, I don't know,
Part of who
get
I
more
am.
fiber in her diet. I was grasping at straws at one point. What am I doing wrong? Like,
Well, I mean, I'm sure it sucked for you because there was lots of times when even just going over to their house and visiting, even when it was just them, I was just like, man, I'm just not in it today. I just no. And then he would feel like, well, can I go visit?
right? See, I would feel bad about going because I thought, well, I don't want to leave her. I don't want to leave my
She's at home
wife
with the
at
kids
home
all the
alone.
time while I go, hey,
you know,
yeah,
or
that's not cool.
yeah, or if they're at school, I don't want to go home and leave her alone. That's boring and sad, right?
No, that's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, but I couldn't get that through my thick ass skull, Neanderthal head. So
Being alone when you have kids, every moment is.
let's put it this way: if I had the knowledge of this test, the understanding, the explanation,
Yeah.
probably, what is it now? 18, 19 years ago when we got married, we'd
Which
still be
time?
married probably.
Oh, maybe we communicate a lot better now than we used to. It doesn't have all the weight that it used to either, which
Sure.
is nice.
So we can be just friends and enjoy each other's company.
We can
And
be a
when I
lot
say
more
something
honest.
asinine, she can go home.
Yeah,
Right.
man, fuck you.
Yeah.
You good? I'm going home.
home.
And then the next day, be like, hey, you still being a jackass? Yeah, a little bit. All right, well, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah. It really does free up a lot that I know more in depth of another thing is like after seeing this test when she took it, showed it to me, I was like,
See,
okay.
that's why I never like to fight. Can't win.
You're right. No assertiveness. So having seen this after I did this fairly recently, I realized, you know what? It wasn't all my fucking fault.
And I'm not easy to live with either. I was a mess. We had so much stuff going on with
and
the
yell
kids.
when somebody parks a car crooked.
No, I don't freak out like that, but I would act less than adult in certain situations, and I definitely have my flaws.
But-
It's never all one person's fault. That's ridiculous.
But if you have traits about yourself or behaviors about yourself, you don't quite understand why you do the things you do, whether it's waking up on Saturday with 10 people naked in your bed, or drinking too much, or whatever it is behavior. You're like, I don't
That's
fucking
why I
do
don't
that.
go to your parties.
Hey, never went to those parties.
Hey, Marcus, he said should do an episode on if it's truly possible to be friends with an ex. Well, if you listen to Ro and Amy, they're divorced with children, grown children, and they're still friends. So it is possible. Well, I'm saying you're still friends with your ex-wife.
Sure.
Okay, so
I don't know how to cook. I need somebody.
I need somebody to cook for once in a while too. That's all right.
Well,
I mean-
Marcus, I'll say that I'm not friends with my ex-wife, and we have a child together. Hell no, I can't stand her.
This is
So-
Marcus,
this
I
is
think
going.
we would still be even if we didn't have kids. I think we would.
This is
Yeah.
going back to an argument that we had earlier because I'm still friends with two of my exes. and he doesn't like it. So
Well, men can be kind of insecure and jealous sometimes
Women can too.
without understanding. Yeah, sure, women can too, but I mean, the truth is, yeah, I'm friends with most of my exes.
I'm
To a
not friends with any of
point.
my exes.
But
No
I'm
way.
the specialist.
Yes, you're the specialist. But but no, not to this point. Most of my exes, they called me up and said, "Hey, you know, my starter's broken. Can you come up here and change it with your one working fucking arm?" I'd be like, I can get a buddy to come over, maybe, you know. But you know, she calls me up and says anything's wrong. I'm just like, all right, I'll figure this shit out. I mean, I might have to use a sledgehammer with this one arm, but I'm gonna get it done.
Well, there's a love and friendship and companionship that goes beyond romantic love too. And you can appreciate who a person is and what they stand for and their values and still not necessarily be romantically compatible. But you can still appreciate them for who they are and love them, flaws and warts and all, especially if you don't have to live with it.
Notice when she said live with, it got
No,
switched to it.
I actually have a thing about that.
Well, I'm just
I
saying,
used to-
male or female, you don't have to live with whoever that other person is all the time. You still
Okay,
love
Mark.
them.
I used to have this thing which, you know, I guess I was used to be a hopeless romantic or whatever, the stupid stuff like that. But anyways, I had this thing I used to always say, beauty is beyond the flaws, because everyone thinks a diamond or any type of gem or anything or a jewel is beautiful,
Because
but
it's shiny. Yeah.
but but the flawness part of it, if you get one that's uncut, it looks horrible, right? So beyond that flaw that the stone has is a beauty inside. That's a thing I used to do. To a girl I used to have a thing for years, but it was a thing I used to do, like, because like it looks bad when it's uncut, right? It just looks like a chunk. It doesn't look like
Right.
anything. That no one can see the beauty that's within it until it's cut. And a lot of people want to see that beauty before, before the flaws, which a lot of times you can't, right? And there's this little thing I had. I had like a picture I made and everything that shows a diamond before it was cut, and a shit, I don't remember what it was. Anyways, these gems before they were cut and then after they were cut. And I made this little picture thing for it.
That sounds
But-
cool.
Well, I mean, that's kind of where like the diamond in the rough phrase comes from, is because people that are shallow see the gem, think it's beautiful, and see the rough cut and think, you know, it's garbage so far. But
Yeah.
people that aren't shallow can see the cut gem and beauty in the rough thing. So you look at someone and you know their potential and the potential of the relationship. That's a big difference from, oh, she's got a nice rack or something stupid like that, you know. So
Yeah.
there's a definite truth to that. The fact that young people, not harping on any young people, but the younger girls or boys instead of men and women, they look at the gem. They don't look at the rough cut. So like, do I think we could be friends without my extreme age? You know, like I'm about 50 and she's years younger than me. Could we have been this way back when we were 20? No, because we were too young and stupid to look past petty things that were pissing us off, or it was looks for me. I just got lucky in that department for her, but it's kind of one of those things where it took those years and that bullshit, that lava under the bridge, as I call it, that to burn it down in the crucible to, I like this person and we have stuff in common, we have stuff not in common. So yeah, you can totally be friends with an ex if you're mature enough.
Mhm.
In my opinion. I mean, I might be wrong. I've been wrong. I think it happened once in the 80s.
Yeah, because there's always been kind of my thought process too. Like, some couples like jump into the relationships and then they see the flaws after they're already together or married. And I've always been an open book on that aspect. I think sometimes when I meet women or girls or anything, they think that I'm joking or about my past or about some things, because I come right out like I'm not flawless. I have a lot of flaws, and then when we're together, it seems like he was right, and then they kind of back off, kind of thing. But I still have that thought process
Best
with
you
it
know
with the
that
gyms and stuff.
early on, though, rather than if you're being upfront with someone and telling them how you are, and they're just not used to someone being, I guess, honest. And
Well, a
when
lot
they
of
get
people,
into a relationship, they're like, "Oh wow, you really do leave the toilet seat up. Oh
and a
wow,
lot
you really do not push up your toothpaste from the bottom."
Yeah, and a lot of people do also. If like a lot of people will, I'm not saying everyone, but I'm saying a lot of people. I would say more than half the people in the world actually, once they hear a flaw or something that's pretty bad, let's say a child abuse or anything like that, in my aspect, right, my past and stuff, um, they think that the person is going to grow up to be like the person that hurt them. You know what I mean? And it
Well,
scares
there
them
is that
a
stigma.
lot of the times.
Because there's a stigma around that. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
So
and I
then,
mean that's kind of the issue with people today is that everybody dating, so to speak, is playing these games, and you're expected to lie, and you're expected to, play, that guy's
Be
got
on your best
game,
behavior
right?
for the first couple of dates.
Yeah.
Then we find out who you really are.
Right.
That's how it works.
And unfortunately, that's not how it's supposed to work. The way it's supposed to work is you ask questions, I answer them. I ask questions, you answer them. I get a knowledge of who you are or an idea of who you are, and go from there if it's compatible. Now they're just like,
Yep.
you want to bang? Yeah, okay. And then like, what's your name the next day? And then like all of a sudden,
I
you
don't know who
find
you
out.
are.
Well, and then by the time they figure out anything actually about you, post coitus, they're like, well, I don't like this guy, and then they're gone, and then it's just another failed relationship over and over and over. So, yeah,
Yeah.
socially we're in a spiral on that crap, and it can impact like who you are today. All those failed relationships can impact who you are now in these tests. Even may some of these things may alter due to your bad experiences, right? So it's kind of like epigenetics. Your genetics switches on and off through the environment that you've existed in while you're after birth. So your traits can be altered by your experiences throughout life, not just as a kid in your formative years. I mean, that's where a lot of it comes from. But you can just have a string of bad relationships and just be like, I'm a piece of shit. So it definitely is something that affects everybody. I think if I hadn't worked through all my bullshit from various things in life I didn't like to my medical issues and whatnot, and I had to deal with this 8 years after my disability, now I'm in a place where I can just enjoy my friend for my friend. And
There's an aspect to that, though. Like they were asking, like, would they still be friends if they didn't have kids? Yes, I do. But if one or the other of us got into a serious relationship,
right,
that
switch
might
to
change
somebody
things.
else. Well, a lot of people
Just because of the history and stuff. It would,
right.
As much as I love being your friend and stuff, I still would not want to watch you make out with another chick in front of me.
Right.
I wouldn't.
And there's a lot of chicks that wouldn't be okay with still being friends with my ex on a
And
level
if
where
that
it's
happened, I would
5,
definitely
6
bow
hours.
out because you deserve to have someone who loves you.
Yeah, there's nobody else that'll take care of my craziness. You're numb to it, so you can hang out with me, but nobody else will put up with me.
Well, if it ever happened, I would definitely bow out because you deserve that type of happiness more than you need me as a friend. And you should.
Nobody else can make spaghetti like you, though. So fuck those people. But no,
Just being-
yeah, I know. And exactly that statement is exactly why I live in my own apartment. I don't know when to not say yes. But no, that is definitely something that introverts can almost and experts too can almost self defeat themselves in the idea that when they do take a chance and go out and go in a social situation, if it doesn't go well, that's going to put them more in a isolated state. But like I said, these pictures are art.
So,
Stuff
so
brought her out.
I want to intervene on the being friends with your ex type thing.
Yeah.
So, do I agree with what you said? Yes, with what Amy said. When you're not in a relationship, it's easy to be friends with your ex.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, after the split up is done and over with, and you guys come to terms and patch things up and just become friends. Okay. But when you're in a relationship with somebody else to stay friends, I see that's possible.
I
But to
think it's
hang out,
exceptionally difficult.
but to hang out with your ex is different. Okay. You know, because it'd be one thing if there was something still there, if there was a fire still there, that would be one thing. Okay. But if there's no fire and that flame is out, it's just friendship, that wouldn't be difficult. Okay. Because there's no,
Sexual tension.
yeah, there. Okay.
Well, I
It's
wouldn't
just,
say that we're without that either, completely, because I was attracted to him at one point enough to have children with him. So I don't know if that ever goes away completely. But there's also the knowledge that we fight a lot whenever we're together. We drive each other crazy when we're together. We have trouble coexisting in the same spaces because the way he wants things done and the way I want things done in my own home are two entirely different things. But we can hang out.
Right.
yeah.
However, if one of us is in a relationship,
Yeah.
we could still be friends and we could still hang out and not have a problem. But there are significant others would not be okay with it usually because it's very rare to find someone secure enough to be like you're going to lunch with your ex-wife, your kids are
Your partner
grown.
deserves to
Fuck,
be
no, we're-
secure.
Yeah,
They
so
do.
it would be kind of a
I wouldn't, if I was in a relationship with some guy that was hanging out with his ex, I probably wouldn't like it much.
right. However, if something came up, like my car's broke down again, I need a ride, or whatever,
Sure.
on a rare occasion when you actually truly need me for something. If I was with a woman and she said, I don't want you to do that, I'd be like, that's the mother of my children, pound sand. Because I can find another girlfriend. I can't find another mother of my children unless I have more children. God, I don't. So they're fucking expensive pets. But seriously, if more than likely, if I found somebody I wanted to date or hang out with, or whatever you want to call it, if they interested me enough, they probably would be the type that would be like, yeah, go get her, of course. So I'm not saying I'm like judgmental of people who would be insecure about that, but I doubt that I would be attracted to somebody that insecure of a outlook on things, that when somebody called me that needed me, they were fine with it unless it was my ex-wife. Oh, that seems pretty petty.
I don't know. I think I'd be with your girlfriend on that one.
Mm,
Well, just putting yourself in a situation like that when you're in a committed relationship where you're hanging out alone with somebody that you used to have sex with and were married to and have children by and still have a degree of obligation and loyalty to, at least in your own mind. That to me would not be okay.
Well, we wouldn't hang out for sport at that point. I understand.
Right.
But like if you called me and said I'm in
Well,
the
if,
next
Mel-
town
if
over
we
and
were
I'm
married
down on the side
and
of the
Melissa
road,
was broke down, yeah, I'd be like, "Fucking go get her."
right? I mean, but I assume that most women nowadays would be like, if they could, they'd be like, all right, I'll go with you.
But you didn't hang out with Melissa
Right.
either. You had no feelings whatsoever left over for her, friendship or otherwise. That's why it would be okay. So, I mean, it's women are
Well,
weird.
there are feelings,
They're
but they're not
complex.
positive ones.
Women are complex. Everything's got a line.
Yes, I know. We're so simple, man. Just
See,
just get naked.
I have female friends, okay? I have very few male friends. I have more female friends than I do male friends. And that's my problem with women when I get into relationships.
Yep.
Is because I am friendly with more females than I am males. And they can't stand it. And I'm like, hey, that's how I am.
A lot of people don't think so, but women are just as jealous as men are many times, and often over far less substantial things.
Yeah, like
Territorial.
That's my Neanderthal.
All right.
That's understandable. And I tell them, I say, hey, when we're together, I don't talk to other females but you. But the thing is that I require the same thing from you,
Mhm.
not to talk to other males when we're together. And if I catch you talking to another male, I'm going to talk to other females.
Right.
And then there's going to become a conflict there because you're going to be insecure. I'm not going to be jealous. Because the thing is I know that if you step out on me, we're done. And I can move on to the next one.
Right.
So,
Or anybody that knows you're her man is gonna go, boy, and I'd like to get with it. Wait a minute. That fucking monster over there is her boyfriend. Maybe I better not do that.
the ones that have ended up in bad positions.
Right. Yeah. They have a rough day. Hell, there were times the first time we broke up. Well, first time we divorced. I can't say the first time we broke up
Yeah, because I was 16.
right. So the first time we divorced, she had dated a guy or two here and there, and I would immediately do a background check. I'd see if they're okay, follow them around a little bit. Not that I was gonna like want her back at that point or anything like that. It was just like if they did anything wrong or I found them stepping out on her, might have to make a dude smoothie. Just
Okay,
saying,
I get what Marcus is saying. Marcus is saying what I don't like is he constantly references things about their past relationships. So to me, it appears he's not over. What do you think there, Rogue?
All right, let me see.
I think he's over it. I mean, we went through so much shit. Like, what started it today was we were talking and Marcus was there and he said, I wanted it to work. I just didn't know how to make it work. And how hard it was for both of us because he wanted to give me that happy ending, but he couldn't do that. And that's when Marcus got upset. And he's like, he's clearly not over you. Why would he say something like that? And I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't expecting him to say that either.
So he does have a point with him saying that, yes. So your ex still has a thing for you. Even though you don't see it that way, us men, we see it that way.
I mean, he's dating a model. So
Okay, that doesn't mean anything. Looks are deceiving. It's not about the looks. He could be like I got called a playboy. He's probably more like a playboy, but he found something he lost and can't have back, and it really hurts him. So that's how hear it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm reading into. Is that saying, you don't know what you have until you lose it.
Yeah, well, he lost it 5 years ago, so I think he's over it by now. It's just that I get what I get what he's saying. He does sometimes, but when he does reference it, it's not good things. He brings up, the things that used to make us fight.
Okay, so why even talk to him if he's triggering you?
He doesn't trigger me. He's doing that. He's done that less and less, bringing up stuff.
I wouldn't even waste my time with you, to be honest.
I'm lost. Sorry. Humans are complicated.
So. It's a very complicated thing, but we're just good friends.
But there is one female. If she ever came back into my life, I would drop everything for her.
I have a girl like that too. I've knew her for 17 years, and
yep,
it's a hard thing to explain away because there's just stupid shit, man. So dumb.
If she's still ever the same person, yep.
Well,
if she's still that same person, I would drop everything for her.
So, Rogue, you're saying he's dating a model now. You think, like, from what I read from that statement,
she's with a model.
She's worth more than you because she's pretty.
No, but she's very much his type, where I was the opposite of that, and that's why we butt heads a lot. She's into everything he's into. I wasn't.
The way I see this situation, I don't know what's going on. Like I said, humans are complicated, but the way I see the situation is most guys, if like what All Things Serious said, if they realize they lost the one thing that they wanted, right? I've seen, and I have a lot of guy friends that are guy friends, right? Best friends are the guys that want to sleep with everything and everyone, but if they lost somebody that they really had feelings for and they could get the person back, they would date higher maintenance women to make her jealous in a way. Make her jealous, so she will want to come back. So you bring up the model thing, that's what it makes me feel like, but I don't know the situation. I'm just speaking my mind as another.
Yeah, it doesn't make me jealous or want him back, or I'm with who I want to be with, and that's that.
Well, and another statement I hear from women a lot, or you shouldn't be insecure. I'm never doing anything with him, and I'm not interested. And that statement may be 100% true. We're not doubting that. What we're doubting is your perception of his intention.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, unless you guys had a ton in common and had a bunch of stuff that wasn't sexual, would you be friends if you hadn't ever had a relationship, if you were just hanging out with these people? So
yes,
if the reason he's trying to stay in your life is because, well, I hate to be crude about it, but it is Roe the Hated for a fucking reason, right? So guys have Gucci in the freezer, gals have Pecker in the freezer, right? So if something fails, they always want to be cultivating, younger people that are immature, always want to be cultivating relationships that they might turn into something else later. So, I mean, I've seen it many times. Girls that call me up periodically just to see how I'm doing and stuff like that. And it's like, we had nothing in common. We dated for 6 weeks back in 2 years out of high school or whatever it was. And they still message me on a regular basis just in case whatever they're doing is wrong. And then I go look at their Facebook and go, yep, it just came out of a relationship. They're trying to spark back up again. So, I mean, that is how immature people operate. Unless you say he's like the most mature person in the world, I'd say that's probably partially, whether he realizes it or not, partially what he's doing. If you don't have common interests and you do look at life differently, there's not a whole lot you have besides your history. From the sounds of it, it wasn't the greatest history. So, it may be kind of a doesn't mean anything special to you, but it is probably on the part of the man that's insecure, kind of a coochie in the freezer possibility. I mean that's the worst case scenario in my mind. I mean, it
And
might
he
be
could
totally
be saying that stuff, hoping to get you guys into a fight.
right. Could just be trying to stir shit up.
Yes.
Because men can be petty as well. It's not just women that like to stab people in the back. Men do it too, especially if another man is bigger than them. Got one ninja on this.
Yeah, that's why they have to be really special to get to visit my basement. You know.
You need to know the super secret password and the fucking handshake.
Yeah, it's like skeletons in the closet. I got basements. What are we talking about?
Benjamin
I
Franklin,
took
they
it-
found skeletons in his basement.
See, I took it more as he was just saying, I'm happy that you found somebody you're happy with finally. To me, that's what that whole conversation was about. When he
So
said that to
He was speaking in a different
Oh.
language when he said
Are
that.
we, are we talking about a single or two conversations, or are we talking about regular conversation?
it was the
Or
three of
period.
us, me, Marcus, and this friend had this conversation. I think what my friend was trying to say was, yeah, I didn't know how to make it work, blah, blah, blah. But I'm glad that you found somebody that you're happy with. That's how I took it.
Well, that sounds pretty wholesome, really.
Right. If it's just a one-off,
If it's
I wouldn't
genuine.
worry about it too much. But if it's a continual thing where he continues to make contact, bring up the same stuff over and over, and be a part of your life, I'd probably be a little bit. Of course, all I ever do when there's a dude around that's not related to her is make sure that that's the time I pick to clean my guns.
Oh wow, scare him with the guns, huh?
Well, I don't have guns anymore right here. Like,
Well,
what
we didn't
about all
have
the
any
biceps
girls,
I
so
can
you've
make?
never got to play out that particular dad cleaning his guns when the guy
Yeah,
comes to pick his daughter up for a date fantasy.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess mine wouldn't be guns. I guess I'd be just cleaning my knives and swords.
All right.
Be all Britney Spears up in here.
Or stirring the vat of sulfuric acid. Step at this, motherfucker.
I don't have any desire for that type of relationship really anymore. I don't get lonely really.
I think I broke it.
So it's not really an issue for us. And besides, when we split up, it was truly out of incompatibility, not out of lack of love or anything. I love who he is. I just don't want to live with him.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't like living with me either.
I love you to death. You're one of the most intelligent, generous people that I've ever met, and you're kind. You're
I choke out hobbits. What are you
depend-
talking about?
You're
On time?
dependable. You've got a lot of wonderful, wonderful traits, but your OCD, I'm too chaotic. You've seen my art workspace. It got organized.
I
That's
think
what
it's
they organized what you saw.
Yeah, that seems like it's a really secret place to visit. You know.
I think
Well-
the stream went right off the rails.
Well, I mean, she needs more shelving and stuff, and I'll build her something and put it in there eventually. Can't
See, I
watch
don't like
this thing
people. I
go
don't like
for 2
people
years.
coming. If I meet a girl, she's gonna have to be really special for her to be in my recording music space. Because other than that, that's sacred. Stay away. I'll kick you down the
Mine's
stairs.
out
in the
in the
basement.
open. Instead of it having a kitchen table and stuff, I've got one table that I've got all my supplies on. Then I've got another table that's got all my pieces that I'm currently working on or painting or whatever stuff.
No wonder
process I
why
abandon
she
them
goes
in.
over to Rose's house and cooks dinner.
Yeah, she doesn't have any room to eat in her house. You take these 5 pictures or something, her wall, it's hard to tell what color her walls are painted. Because there are just pictures everywhere and pieces. You saw some of the art
That's
pieces
more why
earlier.
we're incompatible than anything. Because I am pure chaos, and he is very neurotic
Yep.
about.
I make a battle plan when I get up to pee.
Yeah, we got into an argument one time about parking parallel or perpendicular to our house, and I can't be constrained like that. That's just not. Even I didn't do anything like that to annoy him. I just pulled into my damn driveway. That's all I'm doing. I'm parking my car. I'm going. I ain't got time for this shit. I got groceries. I got kids. You want me to fucking park parallel or perpendicular? I'm never gonna remember that. I got schedules and charts and And
Yeah, I'm never gonna win this battle.
Oh.
That was 15 years ago. And I still to this day go, it takes no effort to do that and would have been a big thing for me.
but it would have taken effort for me. It wasn't on top of all the other stuff I had to do. Now I got to, in order to please you, so you don't look at me with a side eye whenever you walk in the door. I got to park my car parallel or perpendicular. Well, at least there was an option. That's more than
Well,
I mean, I had two choices: parallel or perpendicular. Normally, there is none.
well, before my dad passed, he gave me a little wisdom on this subject. He said, what you should have done was clean the garage out instead of having it be your little workshop and doing stuff. Get her to park in there and put the little tennis ball on the string to hit the windshield, and then it would be in the garage. You could shut the door if it was crooked. But it was too small of a garage for her car. Where you're running like the Chevy S10 Blazer. So it wouldn't have fit in there well to be able to unload 3 kids and a bunch of groceries. So that wasn't an option, but he said it was my fault for having the parking lot be
See,
open
your
in
dad
front.
was lessons one time. His words of wisdom.
What about the time you backed over on a motorcycle? And my dad said it was my fault because I parked behind a woman.
See, that was true too. Twice. Twice. Senior was right.
Okay, well, Senior was
The
such a
same
wise
man that
man.
wanted to pick out cow and calf pairs at the
Right.
bar with you.
Yeah, he used
So
to
I
tell me,
don't-
let's go to the bar,
I don't
Junior, so we can pick out a
Usually
cow calf
give
pair.
his words too much weight.
I'm saying you're saying that he's wise, and he was the same man that told me I should find an ugly woman with big boobs that I had something to play with, and nobody wanted to take her from me. I'm saying his advice about women wasn't the best. But I did take it to heart to never park behind a woman.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day. See, it's the meat brain. I got the comebacks faster now.
No, you just know that I can't do anything. You finally figured out that I'm not ever going to do anything to get myself in more trouble.
No, you're the safest person I will ever be.
Well,
You
unless
give
it's
me
zombie
permission to
apocalypse.
do this.
But be assertive.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, because if you're be assertive and something goes wrong, you can always unleash me.
Parking shortcomings
No, I
can
can
be
be assertive.
frustrating to me too.
Practice.
I was gonna say when I saw that assertive one, I'm like, I might have something to say about that because you tell me to fuck off all the time. So, but I guess I'm the only one that she's assertive with.
Yeah, because I feel safe to be assertive with you. If I tell you no, or I say no, I don't feel like running around today, or hey, you want to come over and make me some spaghetti and watch TV? No, don't feel like cooking today. Sorry. You're still gonna call me back. You're still gonna love me. You're still gonna
Because I still
want
want
to do
spaghetti. You
stuff
just-
together, and you're still
today.
gonna want spaghetti. But nothing's gonna change. It's not the end of the world. I can be assertive with you.
Oh my god.
I remember one time she told me she had a dream that she was trying to hit me, but couldn't get to my face because
Oh yeah, that's when we were teenagers. I was pregnant with Jameson then.
our first child.
17. Yeah, almost 18.
And
I Oh,
I should have not said this because she was mad at me at the time, and I said, well, you know what the meaning of that dream is? It's because you know you love me so much that you can never actually hurt me. And I mean, we were kind of on the outs, and she was pissed at me at the time. And she's like, that might be right, you motherfucker. So, yeah. I'm like, yep, you can't hurt me because you never will. Truth is, it's because you need a ladder to hit me in the face.
I will give you you two props. The way y'all talk to each other is why you guys can still talk. Like the man, I could never. My ex-wife, I can never be like "fuck you" and all that shit, dude. It would cause so much problems.
oh no, it's all in fun. Whenever Ro has strong words, 99% of the time it's in fun, unless it's at Guy and it's gotten to an escalated moment. Otherwise, it's all jokes and in fun. And I don't take any of that stuff to heart. And I hope he doesn't take it to heart when I say it. Because I'm like, I try to really think about people's feelings a lot. So if I'm joking around that openly to where I'm taking jabs, it's because I know the person knows I love them and would never try to be actually hurtful. Otherwise, I'd keep my mouth shut. I'm one of those. Can't say something nice, don't say it.
Yep, I agree.
Well, my word is my thought is if there's silence for a few seconds, say something, even if it's not nice. Don't have uncomfortable silence. That's gross.
Yeah, but there's no such thing for an introvert. There is no such thing as an uncomfortable silence because I'm like, oop, back in my head again.
Yeah, and I think my head is a terrifying place to be, so I want to always be out of my head.
I find comfort in my own thoughts. I think about things a lot, and I have to process things internally before I can speak about them.
Yes, which is another struggle of being an extrovert with an introvert, by the way.
Well, I'm high in withdrawal, and that's what
Right.
that is. You withdraw to yourself to process your feelings, think about them, think about how maybe your initial gut emotional reaction was. Is that the right thing? Do I really feel that way? Do I really think Ro's an asshole? Well, no. Okay, well then
Maybe
that's
a little.
not what you're going to say to him when we confront this issue. You're going to say, I can see where you're coming from. However, however you want to approach it, I
Right.
have to internalize that stuff and think about what I feel and how I'm going to present it before I can say it.
And the problem with that is for me, not for you, but for me, was that I knew something was wrong sometimes, but I didn't know what. So I would just make guesses, right? And I always
Sit
guess
there
that I
and
did
do,
something wrong
yeah.
first because I am me, right? So, but then she would tell me that she has this problem, and I'd be like, "All right, you want me to, put my 2 cents in?" And go, no, she's already come to a conclusion and a decision because she's been thinking about it for the last 3 months. I'm like, well, I'm not fucking psychic. How am I supposed to know this has been a problem? So yeah, it was because to me, I have to get anything off my chest on a daily basis. Where she can stew on something for 6 months and then all of a sudden be upset about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where the fuck did this come from? How did
Well,
you
you
get this
remember when
mad?
I got Caleb's IQ test done, and it took me almost a year to process it, and then it came out in like this crying, emotional vomit that one night when we were talking and you were over the road, and I was just like, it's not fair. He's never gonna get married. He's never gonna have kids. We're not gonna be grandbabies from it. And it just like all came out at
Like
once.
that's understandable, but the times when you were like mad about something that I was involved with, like I didn't know anything about it until there was like a frying pan about to hit me in the head almost.
Oh
type thing.
God! I
It's
never
not a
ever-
metaphorical frying pan.
All right, well, let's
You're
be
just
clear
gonna- you
because
just
women are
broadsided
abusive
me.
these days
You just-
just as much as
okay.
men are.
You just broadsided me with this, you fucking asshole, this, that, the other, and I'm just like, I didn't know that was a thing. That was like 6 months ago. What the hell, So, yeah,
Now you're
Well-
learning the difference between the introvert and the extrovert right now.
yeah, basically.
The introvert holds things in their mind and doesn't get it off their chest right away, and the extrovert punches you right in the gut with it.
Yeah.
Well,
I
there were
wanted to consider how I was going to present things to him too, because he's a very stubborn person. He's very assertive, and he 100% thinks he's
Not-
right 100% of the time, except for that one time back in the 80s. So
Back in
that's-
the
that's really
80s.
which it means
is.
99% of the time. I don't say 100%. There was that.
Okay, see, he's got
Time
to
in
correct
high
that too. Not shy about correcting them for what.
So, Alibi, this live stream was talking about introvert and extrovert coexisting with each other.
If she can't
So-
park, she would probably miss your head with the pan. That's great. I love that. Oh, Maven. I hope I'm saying that correctly. You are amazing.
Yeah, his real name's David.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's an alt guy. He's got alt accounts, but they're all part of the channel.
Well, that's very funny.
I don't know.
And I
anybody
probably
like
am
that.
very passive aggressive.
And
That's not a good
Rogue,
thing.
I'm pretty sure you heard what Marcus had to write. I'm pretty sure you read it.
Yeah, I read it.
So
Yeah. Yeah. There's, I mean, don't get me wrong. There were many times where I fucked up. Right. And I'd get mad about stuff for the wrong reason, or I'd lose my temper and rip the toilet out because nobody had cleaned it and the boys would be filthy bastards. And they'd be like, I'm like, you're going to fucking shit in a hole from now on. You don't even get a toilet because you don't deserve it. After about a half hour, and they see me throw it down the hill behind the property. Like, oh shit, the old man's lost his mind. About a half hour later, I tell the hose boy to go get the new toilet I'd already bought out of my truck. But I'd use it to make a point or something like that. Like these, I would do those things, and I know she would just sit there and either roll her eyes or be like, all right, knock it off, fuckface. Right. So,
It's just,
there were times I stepped out of line and I was wrong. But I just don't. I believe in some way I was still right in that I learned something. So I wasn't 100% right. I learned what not to do. I was right in that part. And it's not an ego thing. I felt like she didn't trust me to make decisions as much. Like, how do I put it? She would tell me about something. I'd run the simulation in my head 3,000 times. And then about 30 seconds later, I'd come out with a reason or a possible solution. And then it seemed like, and she would tell me that would work for you, but that's not how I can do those things. And that didn't make sense to me. Because I thought I was just average and normal and everybody thought. Yeah. So I was just like, I think if somebody else with letters after their name told you, you'd believe them, that kind of thing. And
no, I'm going to always view anyone else's advice with a slight bit of suspicion and mistrust. But that doesn't have anything to do with being an introvert. I have trust issues.
well, and I mean, some of the other things that are up in here besides your introvert traits or whatever, kind of give me an insight into, even the assertiveness thing.
Oh yeah,
Like-
I used to put my hand in your back pocket and just put like, okay, I want to go to the automotive now because I need some oil. Okay, now I need to go buy the clothes because I need to pick up a new bra, and he'd just be my choo-choo train, drag
Well,
me behind him because people get out of his way. They don't mind.
yeah, no, you have to weave and love, and I just walk straight with a pissed off look. Eddie probably runs through the same thing. Sometime when you're in a big store with lots of people, sit and watch the little hobbits and just watch how much they struggle to get through the aisles.
We have the duck and dodge. We get stepped on.
Yeah.
That's why everybody needs a pet Neanderthal to put their resting bitch face on and go and just get the fuck out of my way. I didn't even understand it until I saw it. I was like, oh, that makes sense. So
Yeah, because you had to go with me one time for something.
more than once. You learned it one
And
time,
you're
and I
like,
think
"Holy
she was
shit,
just like,
is it like this every time you come into Walmart?
Right.
No wonder you don't want to go.
I think after that it was like she'd wait to go to the store until I came home from the road.
Way more convenient. Way easier.
But no, I think that's an assertiveness thing. Is that you know you don't you will, if you see an obstacle, you will figure out a way around it. I mean, that's a metaphor for like the way you deal with things. And the way I deal with things is it's an obstacle. It won't be for long if it doesn't fucking move. You know, so
Yeah.
I just power walk towards it. It's all over. I think a lot of these things affect people
Because you're
more and more
vertically
different ways.
privileged.
Oh God, don't start that. Privileged. You know how hard it is for you to pick shit off the floor? It's not
Very hard.
Yeah. Oh. You guys are lucky that you don't have to make it over 6 foot trip to get down to the floor.
I wouldn't want to be that tall. Why do you have even more back issues than I already do?
Well, that need get a lot of attention because
I did get me a step ladder though, big one. big-
whether people realize it or not, social evolution at least has, if not actual evolution, has created a mindset in our instinct that the tallest person in the room is
The leader.
the leader, and because he can kill the saber-toothed tigers, you know, that be the all-around hunter protector. Back when it was a relevant thing, and that's been a few 100,000 years, right? So the last 2,000 or 3,000 years of social evolution can't really counteract those instincts. We have to counteract it with your cognitive ability. So if you run off of instinct like I do, because I trust myself for the most part, probably too much, to just do the right thing every time, all the time, or some of the time, I guess. Then yes, you operate on those premises that your instincts are. If you're this, where you question things and have to mull it over and think, it appears that you're not decisive,
Yeah.
but
It just takes me a lot longer to make that decision than it
Right.
does you.
right, I run through the simulations in my head, and all right, that's the best looking one. Go with that, So sometimes I have to do it within seconds because of the positions I put myself in.
I think men have a tendency just to be more decisive overall. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's because we're cocky bastards, right?
Maybe, but there's a place for that. That has a value.
So, I mean, those hobbits are fast. Yeah. And by the way, I had somebody DM me a while back saying that it was rude to call people hobbits. Okay. First of all, I fucking love Lord of the Rings. Okay. So, hobbits are awesome. They saved the fucking world in it. So, being called a hobbit is not an insult. It just means you're not over 6 foot. That means nothing about your masculinity, your femininity, your intelligence, none of that shit. It just means if you're shorter than me and I hear gunfire, I'm going to get between you and it. If you're stronger than me, even if you're shorter, but you're stronger and you have more training or look more tactical, whatever, I'm probably going to stand beside you. It's not an insult. It's a acknowledgement of something.
I don't get insulted by being called a hobbit.
But I think people on the more extreme side of shortness, they get all mad about it.
Caleb gets irritated.
Of course,
He's
what was
all
he calling you for a while? There was something our youngest
Homunculus.
homunculus, yes,
Yeah.
perfectly formed
Miniature.
miniature human being.
The kid's not that much taller than me.
Well,
So
but at least I'm not calling y'all a homunculus.
Yeah, if anybody's got any questions, and I know probably some of y'all have questions about our relationship, fire away. I'll answer them if I feel like it. If not, I'll just keep my mouth shut, but it won't offend me.
Didn't want to answer it. Just
I think you guys answered it all.
I hope so, because I think a lot more people may not be on the extreme that her test shows for her, but I think these things are a great way to evaluate your behavior, especially behavior that you're confused about.
But you just got really quiet. I didn't hear what you said at the last of that.
Really?
Yeah, you started getting really quiet, and I didn't hear anything that you were saying.
Well, basically, I said these tests, you know, you don't have to be on this extreme side of any of these scales or any of that to get at least an idea of what it is, cause you to do certain behaviors, especially those that you don't understand why you do it. You know, if you have behaviors that you're like, why do I fucking do that all the time? I think that's what these tests are.
I didn't take any of these tests or whatever. I don't even know what you guys are talking about when it comes to tests, but I mean, I'm just waiting to talk to a psychiatrist or whatever, somebody, I guess,
So,
for all
so
the
the
issues.
so the test we're talking about is the Big Five personality test. You know, to see where you're, if you're an introvert or an extrovert. You know, that type of test.
Is that something that will give me when I go to see somebody? Like,
No,
Yeah, you
it's
can
just
ask for a personality assessment if you go to a psychologist. Yeah, you can.
yeah, because I think all these damn doctors and shit like this gonna make me go crazier.
But
I'm
if
gonna have
you
to
want
have.
to just check it out for yourself, I did it from Jordan Peterson's website, understandmyself.com.
Jesus Christ.
so the Big Five is the openness, the conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Neuroticism.
You have a hard time with that word. I do too, though.
I don't know a lot of those big words. I'm not smart enough.
Well, I mean, it explains them each. It breaks them down into their various components. So,
Yeah, it breaks
and
it down for
there
you.
are free versions of this test as well.
Yeah, which they're probably just as good or close. It just gives you a baseline idea of which of these traits you're highest in and what that might be like for someone with a score of 88 agreeableness or 4 extroversion.
I might try and take the test before I go see the psychiatrist and stuff, but I probably will get scared with the result and be like, yeah, I am a psycho or something.
No,
Well,
it
then
doesn't
leave
mean
it.
you're psycho. It's just a trait that you have.
Then don't look at it. Just download it, put it on a flash drive. Don't open it. Bring it to your person, therapist, whatever you call it, and it'd be like, I took one. Here it is, and it'll save some time, I guess. But then you can immediately start working on it, and you can sugarcoat something if you think it might be a bad thing or whatever. But
Yeah, I'm not
none
gonna
of this,
sugarcoat anything.
none of these things, no matter how you score on any of this, is going to be like some scary thing. I mean, I suppose if you test out as a 100% sociopath, which you are not, by the way. So
This is not a test for that, though. This is just personality traits.
Yeah, personality traits.
It's not a test for crazy. It's just
right,
a test for, are you a party guy or are you a homebody guy? Are you extremely neurotic or are you laid back? That's all it is.
so if you look, I mean, that was her scores that were up there. But if you look at this, it tells you the agreement of passion and politeness, conscientiousness, industriousness, and orderliness. Yeah, orderliness, enthusiasm, and assertiveness. Like it breaks it down into. So basically, when you take this test, you're not getting 5 results. You're getting 10 results. How they interact with the Big Five.
And how they interact with each other.
Right.
Yes,
You can be open. Your openness might be high, but your conscientiousness is low, or something like that. I mean, there's there's
I hear cricket.
interactions that one interacts with the other, but all different ways. It's not a judgment whatsoever.
What in the world?
It'll
Is it just me hearing
explain-
those noises?
The crickets, that was he got a text message.
Yeah, I didn't have my phone on.
It wasn't me. I don't have cricket text messaging.
Oh, well, it was actually an alarm. It was telling me it was 8 o'clock.
Oh, for your medication. Yeah.
All right, everybody.
Yeah.
This live was very interesting. I think we learned we learned about two people that coexist with each other that are polar opposites of each other.
In a lot of ways.
So you got an introvert and an extrovert in a relationship with each other.
Well, friendship,
Same difference.
but
It's
That's
still a friendship, boyfriend,
Right.
girlfriend, husband and wife. It's still a relationship. It's not like a love relationship. Well, it is because you guys
Well,
love
listen.
each other. It's just a different
Well-
type of love for each other. That's what I mean. Or it's more like a situationship. Okay, you guys are there for.
that was good.
Okay.
But, yeah,
so-
And the interaction between us is
yes.
Yeah.
So you
Not
guys
for
have learned.
everybody.
It took you guys getting divorced to learn about each other.
A little bit, yeah, because it took some of the weight away from some of the words. You don't want to hear your husband say, I can't believe you didn't fucking clean the kitchen. This place is a goddamn mess. If my friend comes over and says that, I'm like, all right, you can go home. Your kitchen's clean. Go for it.
That's because I pay someone to clean it because I'm still too lazy to do it.
But it's those difficult parts of actually living with someone and having to deal with their shit every day is gone. It was
I don't think nurture can be temporarily. I don't think nurture is temporary, to be honest.
In formative years, nurture is extremely important. And it does have
it can
Nearly-
be changed though.
nearly
It still has
permanent
some flexibility.
because stuff that I was taught in my formative years that I know I do a little bit wrong. I can't. I could change, but man, it's a lot of work. So yes, it's not quite permanent, but it seemed very permanent to somebody who's had something drilled into their head that makes them behave oddly.
But back to what I was saying is that I don't know how nurture can be temporary. That means you could be careless, not care for somebody.
Well, nurture versus nature. Nurture is like learned behavior by how it was encouraged or discouraged by some authority figure or just the environment around you. And you can have a negative effect, say, from your environment or your spouse for a while, and you've been nurtured into a certain behavior. That once that toxic thing is out of your life, it then can go away and get better. Then, therefore, the nurturing effect that was positive or negative is less and less, and eventually
Oh, nurture can make an extrovert shy temporarily.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand that part. I can get that. Yes. But that's only if you're an extrovert.
So can getting fat and being naked.
What?
An extrovert can be shy if he's fat and accidentally gets naked.
So, but this was an intriguing live, and I thank you guys for being here. And I am going to end it here. Thank you guys for being up here, Viper and Rogue, Row. Amy.
Yep.
Appreciate you coming up and sharing your personality trait test.
Is Marina here?
No, I think she left.
Okay, well, I'll make her watch this. Just because she dared me to do this earlier. Come here. There we go. She dared me to hug her. Go, I dare you to go and get in the kitchen and hug your ex right now. See what she does. I hug my ex all the time. I hug people all the time. That's not a big deal.
Yeah, I'm not special.
No, well, you are special, but if I was to walk up and like give her a purple nurple, yeah, she'd
Yeah, that's
probably
a little
suck
bit
the shit
different.
out.
I'm gonna go ahead and jump down. Thanks for having me on, man.
Just had to say that.
Yeah, I'm
All
gonna
right,
jump
Viper.
down too.
Yes,
You're welcome.
thank you guys for being here.
Thank you. I gotta put my son to sleep.
All right, have a good night, Viper.
Don't use
night.
chokeholds.
Have a good
I
night.
might,
Well,
I might.
that's really not a good idea.
Have a good night, Rogue Knox. Thank you, Ro. Thank you, Amy, again. Thank you, everybody in chat. David, thank you for being here. Mike, Marcus, Alibi. You know, everybody here. Jennifer. I see Dangerous Grandmother. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm going to end it out now, and have a good night. And thank you for joining All Things Serious.